Hyprland is a dynamic Wayland compositor. They don't call them tiling window managers like they do for X11, but pretty much it's the same thing. It's known for its flashy animations, its blurring effects, its colors. I'll throw the website up here and you can kind of see some screenshots of some pretty cool customizations. Especially if you go to something like the subreddit Unix porn, if you've ever checked that out, you'll see a bunch of different customizations of Hyprland. It's kind of like the new, the new thing nowadays. It's what the cool, edgy kids are using. And we are going to get into that because, wow, is there some edgelordness behavior going on around this community. So Hyprland is a Wayland compositor that is based on WL roots, and if you're asking what is a Wayland compositor, it's basically what i3 to X11 is, except for, of course, it's on Wayland. If you're asking what the hell is i3 or X11, then go away because this video is not for you. Probably. Now, if you do know what all this stuff is, and you know what WL Roots is, did you know that a guy named Drew DeVault started the project of WL Roots back in 2017? I believe he also started Sway. He's actually done some pretty cool stuff for the open source community, and if you've never checked out his work, I suggest that you do. Along with starting the project for WL Roots, Drew also has a blog, and just on the 17th, he posted a blog post titled, "Hyprland is a Toxic Community." He then proceeds to show some disdain towards the Hyprland community, calling it a boys' locker room if it was to come to life on Discord and GitHub. Now, when you think of a high school boys' locker room, not saying that you should be thinking of that, that's just where I guess this video is going, at least this blog post has, you probably would think of, at least here in America anyway, stinky, immature, right? Things that aren't so great. And equating a Linux sub-community to a fucking high school boys' locker room is not really, it's not really a compliment. Drew then goes to say that the Hyprland community actually tolerates and almost encourages some type of toxic and discriminatory behavior. There's this whole blog post about some events that have happened in the last 8 to 9 months or something. I think the first incident happened back in December of last year. And then a couple of more things happened within, like, on the GitHub page and then also on the Discord server. Just kind of some drama. So we're going to lay out the facts, or at least the facts that are presented here that I could find on the internet. But then at the end, I'll just give my thoughts on the whole situation. Not that my thoughts matter or my opinions matter, but, hey, guess what? It's a free fucking world. So, first of all, we have to explain what the Hyprland community is. Actually, maybe we should back up. There is Linux, right? There's Linux as a whole, and there's the Linux community. That makes up of everybody who uses Linux as a operating system and on their desktop or server. There can be there's a whole wide range of people that use Linux and that are in the Linux community. You've got the Linux community, and then you've kind of got like subgenres of Linux communities, right? And then underneath, you've kind of got all the different distributions, right? And you've got the people that use those distributions. And then you've also, within those distributions, you've got people that use certain desktop environments or certain window managers. So it's kind of like a big tree, okay? And I'm sure I'm missing some, but you get what I'm saying. There's everybody in the whole Linux sphere, and it branches out to little niche little subjects that people find interesting, right? Well, this sub-genre or sub-community called the Hyprland community, it's really just everybody that uses the Hyprland window compositor, or Wayland compositor, my bad. And they seem to be more so younger guys, right, or younger kids, probably from the ages of, hell, I don't know, I mean, probably pretty young to 18, 19, 20 years old. So even at 20 years old, you're still very young. They're like the edgy crowd of Linux, right? When I was in school, there was like the cool edgy skateboarder or like the cool edgy emo guy, right? That was like back when I was in school 15 years ago. Now it seems like these are just like the cool edgy coder kids, right? That all just hang out on Discord and crack jokes at each other, or make fun of each other, or make fun of people who don't know how to code as well as they do. That's kind of what I'm picking up here. The Discord server is kind of like led by this guy named Vaxry. Now, I'm only going to name this kid and Drew, the guy that published the blog. I'm only going to name their two names. I am going to talk about some posts from some other users, but I'm not going to name them. And also, Vaxry, it looks like he has changed his name on Discord recently. I'm not going to show that name either because it kind of looks like a surname and whatnot. So I'm not going to put him on blast like that. Obviously, this shit is super easy to find, so you could go out and find it if you wanted to. So I'm going to use his online name. Drew, he just put his name out there on his blog. And he's kind of started all of this. Not started all of it, but he's what prompted this video, at least, with the blog post. If it wasn't for the blog post that I saw on Reddit, because somebody else shared it on there, I wouldn't know about this. Vaxry seems to be kind of like the main guy who created Hyprland, I think. Don't quote me on that. And then also he kind of he leads the Discord server, right? He maintains the project along with other contributors. I think he started the Discord server, right? And from jump, I'm gonna say I don't think this kid gives a shit about the Discord server. All right. That wasn't his, goal of creating Hyprland. I think he's just a kid that has been coding for a while. He created this fairly cool project, and it got a little following, and it's created this, Discord server full of young kids who are just edgy and think they're cool. And I don't think he really gives a shit about the Discord server. It's just something that happened because of a project that he created. So it's not like he cares what people are doing or saying on that Discord server. So the first thing that happened was in December of 2022, so of last year. Now, again, I'm not going to name any of these users, but there was somebody that posted on a Mastodon server. They had either joined the Hyprland Discord server or they had already been a part of it for a while, but then they had came out as trans. Like I said, I don't know if they had just came into the server and was like, hey guys, what's up? I'm trans. What's going on? I love this fucking Hyprland thing. Or if they had been around for a while and then they were like, yo, what's up? I'm trans. These are my pronouns. I don't know how that happened. Anyway, long story short, there was some discrimination against that user. And I guess in Discord, you can change your pronouns or whatever in the about me or, that kind of little bio section. Basically, she had her pronouns in her about or her bio, and the moderators of the Hyprland community, this is so wrong. This is so going out of your way to just be petty. They changed her pronouns to who/cares. And that, look, I don't really understand. I am a straight white male, right, in fucking America. So say what you want about me, but I don't really follow all that kind of stuff. My opinion on everything is just, do what you want as long as you're not hurting anyone else or hurting yourself or hurting kids. That's kind of my thing, is be who you want to be. So that whole debacle happens back in December. And then fast forward to February of this year, I guess Drew actually reached out to Vaxry through an email. And what he said was that Vaxry's response was very lackadaisical and kind of, lacked critical awareness about how toxic or how toxicity ran rampant through his community. Basically, he reached out to him since he was he is the head of the community, and that's kind of who you would reach out to, right, if you wanted to talk about what the fuck was going on in that community. Now, he doesn't go into much more detail about the correspondence that him and Vaxry had, but he does say that it was over email. He wanted to handle it privately instead of going public with it like he has now. But although Vaxry, I guess, responded in that way, he did set out a poll on the Discord server asking if anybody had felt like they'd been bullied or harassed, and 40% of people had said yes. And that, that's a pretty large chunk for your community to say that they feel like they've been harassed by other members. Now, a few months later, after Drew reached out to Vaxry, I guess Vaxry went on to a little podcast that Brody Robertson does. If you watch my videos, you probably know who Brody Robertson is. He's got a little small podcast. I forgot what it's called. but I'll link it down below if you do want to check it out. I'll link all this stuff below if you do want to check any of it out. But he jumps on a podcast where they address the toxicity in the Hyprland community. And this was about 5 months ago from now. And I listened to that podcast, and Vaxry's kind of response, he has a very lackadaisical response about it. He doesn't really care, to be honest. And what I'm getting is that he is a younger guy. I think he said that he just started his first year of university this year. So he's got to be, 18, 19 years old probably. I mean, he could be older if he, waited to go to school, but I highly doubt it. He's probably a pretty young kid, and he doesn't care. It seems like the Discord server is very, they're all about free speech, which I completely agree, and I think free speech is a great thing, and I think anybody can say what they want, right? But free speech is different than hate speech. So he goes on the podcast, he's talking about it. He kind of just explains it all away in a very nonchalant way. And the whole time, Brody Robertson just kind of placates all of Vaxry's responses, which, sure, whatever. I mean, what are you going to get into a heated debate about it? It is kind of what it is. But he definitely placates Vaxry's responses and just how, I mean, he literally said that, even he kind of got into the bullying of some people that would ask noob questions. Now, look, to kind of derail for a second, there has always kind of been some I don't know, I don't want to say toxicity because that's such a heavy word. I feel like, at least to me it is. Ever since I started using Linux, if you jump into, and it depends on what distribution you're using or what form you're on, it's usually like the veteran Linux users can give some snobby and kind of asshole responses to noob questions. And that's what it sounds like Vaxry and other members of the Hyprland community were doing. They were kind of bullying new users of Hyprland, or maybe even Linux in general, because they would ask, quote, stupid questions, right? Stupid noob questions. And I've seen that time and time again throughout the Linux community. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. But it does happen. Going back to that podcast with Brody and Vaxry, that was 5 months ago, and Vaxry did say that he had kind of cleaned up the community and changed the rules of the Discord server and whatnot. And so it seemed like from then on that the community would be a little bit better. Now, I don't know if it was. I highly doubt that it had changed. Fast forward to about a week ago, right? And up on the GitHub page for Hyprland, somebody put an issue in regarding that they thought that the community and the project as a whole kind of needed a code of conduct. Now, basically what a code of conduct is it's a set of rules, pretty much, telling all the members how they can and can't act. Basically, it's just a broad way of saying, hey, don't be an asshole, treat others how you would want to be treated, etc., etc. A lot of projects have them, but a lot of projects also don't have them either. It's not something that's necessary or that you have to have. It's just if the contributors and the users of that project, if they want a COC, then they can put one there. They don't need one. So a new Hyprland user comes in, he puts this issue about needing a code of conduct, and as you can see with this screenshot, it was not received well. It got like 2 upvotes and 50 plus downvotes. And they're just basically saying, hey, I've seen some hate and some discrimination within this project and community. I think it could use a code of conduct, and nobody wanted that. They're just young, edgy, they think they're cool, and they don't care about what the fuck other people have to say. Their thing is you can't come into a project and just because other people don't share your opinion, you can't get butthurt about that. But this person goes back and forth with a few different people on that issue on the GitHub page, and it's just obvious that they're not going to win. So I don't know why they keep trying, right? Just fucking leave it alone. It is what it is. This is the group of people that are surrounding this project. Those are the few things that happened throughout this last year with the Hyprland community. And with all of those adding up, that's why Drew actually put out this blog post. Now, Drew, I guess, is very big in the Wayland community, and Hyprland is a Wayland compositor. Now, Drew puts out this blog post because he's very, obviously, he thinks that Hyprland's a toxic community. I don't know if that they're toxic. I mean, shit, dude. I don't know. Did you ever play a match of Call of Duty on Xbox Live in 2011? I mean, holy shit. I don't think some of these kids nowadays would even live through an Xbox Live match or a Call of Duty match at all, because that shit was insane. Some people just take shit to heart way too much when they could easily just say, fuck you, dude. I don't care what you have to say. Now, again, going out of their way, and the moderators of the server going and changing that person's pronouns, they blocked her from being able to change her pronouns and everything, and that is messed up, right? It's just petty. Why do you care that much what somebody else does or what they choose to call themselves? If they're not hurting themselves and especially others, then I just don't see why someone else would really care. And that's what tells me that the moderators and the vast majority of people in the Hyprland community are most definitely young, probably boys, honestly, young kids, young dudes, young immature dudes for sure. But yeah, it seems like once Drew put out this blog post, Vaxry really tried to clean up the Discord server, because Drew is very big in the whaling community. And since Hyprland is a whaling compositor, Vaxry doesn't want to be known as the community who, like, you know, hates on people and tolerates hate speech and shit like that. Even in Drew's blog post, he says, quote, I remember being young, stupid, and maybe not quote, I don't know if that's verbatim, but basically he remembers what it's like to be young and to be mean and to say stupid shit. I don't think it's cool to put them on blast with it and make them like the, you know, most hated group in the Wayland or Linux community, right? Now, if you're somebody who is subject or has been subject to this kind of, you know, bullying or behavior online, just give them a big fucking middle finger, all right? Seriously. Don't let it affect you that much, because at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter what somebody else says. Just know, as long as you are yourself, your true self, and you're being you, and you're not hurting anyone else, and you're not hurting yourself, and you're you, then just know that you're better than that person, because they're going out of their way to try and hurt somebody else for literally no reason. And you know what? You can say that you're better than somebody. Seriously, don't wear your heart on your sleeve. You know, toughen up a little bit. It's all right. Get up. Wipe that dirt off, and just keep moving and keep enjoying your life. All right, everybody. Don't be an asshole. Hit that like button if you like the video, and also subscribe, because we have a bunch more content coming your way.